E-prescribing is taking a scenario that everybody's familiar with. You go into your community physician or your private physician and he says, you're going to need some antibiotics. So at this point he gets out his prescription pad, writes that prescription, hands it to you, and it's up to you to get to your local pharmacy to have that filled. E-prescribing takes the transmission of that prescription in an electronic fashion and sends it to your favorite pharmacy so that whenever you leave the office, it's already there being filled for you and there's no wait time whenever you get there. Oftentimes this is coupled with an electronic prescription writer so that whenever you're sitting with your community physician, he'll bring up this electronic prescription writing system and is able to actually make a few clicks, write in a few things, hit the send button, and it's on its way to the physician or to the pharmacy. You can also get a copy of that. Another thing that e-prescribing allows the physician is that if you're on a chronic medication, let's say that you have high blood pressure, and so the physician, every time you come into the office and he writes a new prescription for that high blood pressure medicine, he can see how long that prescription has been out there, how many refills that you've gotten. Have you been taking those? It can't see you take the pill, but it gives the provider an educated guess to say, okay, I wrote this prescription for 3 months, and it's now 4 months since he's had that filled. So I need to ask him, why aren't you taking your medication like I've prescribed it? So it not only sends the prescription to the pharmacy, but it also gives the prescriber information to question you about your habits of taking that medication. The environment that we're looking at can be any kind of environment, from your local physician all the way up to an academic center that has an outpatient facility attached to it. Most of these prescriptions are written in a doctor's office where it's one-on-one time with you and your physician. They've done their exam and now they're ready to put you on a medication or renew a medication. So that's kind of the locations. It really runs a wide gamut of types of locations that could use this particular program. The scope can be either an upgrade to a current system so that the system that you have has additional functionality to it, or it can be a standalone system. There are several standalone systems that provide the prescription writing and e-prescribing to local physician's office for free. That helps the prescriber. So again, it's a wide gamut of areas or environments that this can be used in, wide gamut of software systems that actually provide this service. Depending on whether it's just an upgrade to the current system or whether it's a net new for this particular office, you're looking at a time frame of about 6 months to get this. By the time that you make arrangements with either the standalone company or you upgrade your current system and you do all the training that is necessary for the providers and get the information to the third party that will be also using this as a warehouse of dispensed medications. By the time you make all of those connections and get everybody together, it will be about a 6 months project. There are programs out there that are technically free to the prescriber. The reason that they're free is that these prescribing, writing and e-prescribing systems also have associated with them, of course, an EMR. It's a foot in the door for the company, so they offer this service of e-prescribing free, knowing that once you get comfortable with the system and whenever you start thinking about an EMR, then you'll first think of them. Well, I know their system, I know how to do it, why don't I just go ahead and go with them? So that's their hook. Even though they're giving you this part of the system free, they're hoping to hook you on the other end by whenever you go to a true electronic record. There is a third party that, at least on the eastern coast, that gets reported to for 98% of the insurance companies, and they are a clearinghouse for this information. The prescriber connects to the clearinghouse, then the clearinghouse takes the e-prescribing information in and then sends it to whatever convenient pharmacy it is. Then once it's filled, that fill information comes back to this third-party information, and that can either then go out to the insurance companies or it can be presented back to your local physician so he can say, I see you're not taking those cholesterol pills. We need to talk about this. And he then can do some additional teaching and reminding why it's important for you to take those things. We're starting to see all of these connections coming in. Another thing about this third-party company that they present to the prescriber what your insurance is willing to pay and what the copay is, so that whenever he's actually doing the prescription writing, he can say, oh, I see prescription A, you're going to have to pay $10. Prescription B is only partially covered, so you're going to have to pay $50. And prescription C is not covered at all, so you're going to have to pay $100. So he's able to take into account your particular situation and prescribe what he thinks is the best level of medication for you based upon what your ability to pay is. The type of team that you'll need for this particular thing depends on the size of the people, the offices that you're working with. If you're using a local community physician single office, you're probably going to have only the project manager and maybe the office coordinator would be your entire team, because you're getting the program free from a third party, so you only need to have that set up, and it's being hosted by the third party, so there's no IT needs up front. If it's a large multi-physician hospital type organization, then you're going to have not only the project manager, but you'll probably have several office coordinators. You're going to have all of your hardware and software personnel on the team, and then you're going to have some providers so that they can help you to build the system that's appropriate for them. It can be very small or it can be pretty large of a team. So the project manager's role, whether your team is small or your team is large, the project manager's role is pretty much the same. You want to have a smooth running project from beginning to end. So you're looking out at all of the project management things. You're looking at the risks, you're looking at the costs, you're looking at the time, you're looking at the project as a whole and wrapping that up to make sure that it is a smooth running project. In this particular scenario, one of the big areas that the project manager has to keep in back of his or her mind is the training requirement for the provider and the provider staff. There is some amount of training, even if it's only a one physician community office, for their staff and the provider themselves of how to get this correctly inputted so that it comes out correctly. So that's a big area that the project manager would have to keep in mind, is the amount of training. In this particular project, you won't have so much upfront planning and stuff to do. You have your normal project management stuff that you need to plan for, but you're going to have a big training component.